Exactly.
Pornography, and all the men like become so much more docile and lower testosterone. And, like, become fucking cheap to this porn, and then it's so much easier to conquer.
It would be really interesting to see the real results on porn and a culture. Like, if you could tie it to just that, I'd be curious to see, like, what does it do to a culture? Like, you know, does it change their drive? You know, does it change?
1,000%.
You know, you got to imagine if you were ever going to have sex in history, like you had to find a woman or a goat or something, right? And so,
sure. We're speaking
you know, whatever it is.
Yeah, you can build a million bridges, but you fuck one goat.
Yeah, you're going to be the goat fucker for the rest of your life, you know? No, but, you know, you have to find a woman now. You just get rabbit and jump on the internet. You grab your fleshlight or something like that. You just, like, you know, go to town 3, 4, 5, 12 times a day, you know, whatever.
You used to have to provide some sort of value.
Yeah.
To get sex.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had to be a worthy candidate for that.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can be a useless potato and get your rocks off.
Dude, I saw something. It was a Tinder statistic, and they were talking about like how many guys were getting girls, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was like 10% of the guys got 90% of the girls, and that there was like a pool of 90% of the guys that get no girls on Tinder, and nobody cares about them. Then there's guys that are going through girl every single night, and it's just like, what's going to happen to these guys that no girl wants because Tinder, they don't want them on Tinder. That's how they're judging. If they got to know them, they might actually like them.
Sure.
But, you know, just swiping through their photos on Tinder, and if that's the new version of dating for society, like, what's going to happen to these guys, and what is that going to do to them in the future, long term, right?
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
It's scary to think. I can't help but think that this has been happening forever.
Probably.
And this is just the 100x magnified version of it, because now everything's so expedient.
That's true. It's just faster, you know, more advanced.
Jordan Peterson talks a lot about that too.
Does he?
Yeah.
Which part of it?
About the 10% of guys getting the 90% of females.
Okay.
And then irresponsibly using that power and using that power.
Yeah.
And it leaves so much of a neglected population. But he talks so much about how it's also females' fault, because like they have all the power in this
100%. Yeah.
And we're encouraging the fuckboy attitude and activity. That's why that's still a thing.
Yeah.
Is because it's winning.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, well, be more powerful or be more intentional with the power that you have.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, why would you choose different? If you're a guy and you're in like the 10% that gets all, like, they're like handed to you on a silver platter. It's like, why would you change your behavior? Why would you do anything different?
What do you guys think is the like evolutionary aspect of it? So like, what are these women subconsciously like seeing that makes them go after this behavior type?
Yeah. You know, is it culture? You know, is it something like culture is changing in there? Because we've seen it, you know, to some degree. I think there's an innate part of women that are attracted to a certain type of guy. But there's a cultural aspect of that too, where I think that they really like push you towards a certain type of guy. Like there was a time period, maybe it was whenever I was growing up or something, there was, you know, a emo or a skinny guy or something like that was like coming into trend, or like they've gone through phases of different guys, you know, a little bit more of a emasculated male was popular there for a little while. I don't know if it's still the thing today, but
I think it's a lot of different things. One, sure, it's probably culture, and like women are also nurturers and fixers, so they think they're going to be the one to change this guy's horrible toxic,
yeah,
and that's always a trap. And then there's always been the cliche of nice guys finishing last. Dudes that are nice isn't the same as like kind. And nice guys are a little bit more passive. They can be pushed over. You know, they're not going to take what the fuck they want.
Yeah,
true.
And so I think that's
like addressed subconsciously in their head, and like, all right, well, if I see this guy getting pushed around, like he's not going to stand up for me.
Well,
so
if you come in meek, like if your initial approach is really like shy and meek and not confident, what's the draw?
Yeah,
you know? They sense confidence. Like we all sense confidence out of everybody. Right away. And if you're lacking it, you can't fake it.
It's kind of funny because you get a lot of your dating practice, I guess. Like you're the most surrounded by your peers when you're like in high school, and like college and shit, and that's you're the most. Concerned.
Like your actual peers, like the age group that you're in.
Yeah.
Which is really an interesting thing about school. Like when you're in middle school, you're around all the other middle schoolers. And never again in your entire life after school will you be around the same group of people. Like, he's 10 years younger than me. Like we wouldn't be in school together. You're like 5 years younger than me, right? So like we would never be hanging out in school, but after school, nobody cares. Yeah. You know, just crazy. But go ahead.
Well, depending on how many times you get held back, we still could.
Yeah, that's true.
But I was saying like a lot of our tendencies that we've learned on how to interact and date with people is learned during a period in time where we're very awkward and very concerned about what other people think of us and all these certain actions. And you can see that directly reflect as we become adults and whatnot, where we carry those same insecurities and tendencies and whatnot, to where as an adult, once you kind of really get over those things and realize, like, I really don't give a fuck what people think about me. Yeah. All these things that I thought mattered when I was younger don't. You still like somewhat apply those to your dating life. And I feel like that's why we have such a, I don't know, messed up culture of dating here, especially in the United States, because we've gone so vastly different from what we have been in the past. Like there's not really any other, obviously just the West in general is very progressive. You haven't seen any civilization transform kind of what they're doing as fast as we have with the exiting of religion and certain values, the bringing in the LGBTQ plus movement and whatnot. Like there's a lot of awkwardness that's still kind of in there. And it's like I said, we're using our childhood tendencies to address adult issues.
Yeah.
I think all of that's going to get a lot simpler in the not so distant future too. Because there's that saying, like, hard times create good men.
Hard times create strong men.
Strong men create easy times. Easy times create soft men.
Yep.
Soft men create hard times. We're definitely really soft as a people right now. And it looks like there's probably a storm on the horizon.
Yeah.
And so I don't think we'll be too worried about, like, pronouns or alphabet people or
at
pleasing everybody
at a certain
point.
Yeah. When people,
you're probably right.
Yeah, when people are starving, like they don't give a fuck about any of that stuff.
Is he hungry? It's like, how dare you? Hold on. This starving being prefers they, them.
They are starving.
Yes.
They are starving.
Yes.
Now eat your bugs.
Eat your crickets.
Here's some crickets for you. Your cricket protein.
Cool. And now that we probably offended a good chunk of
That's
people.
the point of the podcast.
Yeah. Now that we've filtered out the people that...
If you're still with us, it's a good time for us to mention that you should go ahead and click that subscribe button on the channel.
Yeah. Right. Those of you still here without delicate sensibilities, subscribe.
Yeah. Give us a like, subscribe, comment on YouTube, whatever you want to do. That kind of thing. It makes things nice for us. I appreciate it.
If you've noticed, our favorite ginger got replaced today.
Yeah, that's right. We have Daniel Stull, IFBB Pro BodyBuilder here today.
I'm excited to be here.
Welcome.
Some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
I can still feel the butt creases of John.
Yeah, that's okay, though.
I'll work to reach.
He's here in spirit, right?
Sure. Hopefully just in spirit.
Yeah, just in spirit. It is his couch.
Yeah. So. I bet when he comes back, he's going to sink down into that thing like, what the hell?
Why is this thing? My butt groove's off. It's like Goldilocks searching for the right spot.
I like to think I'll leave a lasting impression that way.
Yep.
So we got some great topics today, and we're just going to kick it off in the first one, which is, if animals could talk, which do you think would be the biggest dicks?
So which ones would be the biggest dickheads?
Yeah.
If they could talk.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of animals to choose from.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
So, weasels come to mind, something like a weasel.
Yeah, they have a reputation already.
Yeah, they do. So, you automatically are going to assume that they're kind of like that.
I'm thinking geese.
Geese is a good one.
Geese for sure. They're assholes and they can't talk.
I hate
they'll bite you pretty fast.
Dude, I was going to say all birds.
Birds in general.
They think they're better than us, always flying over they're aiming their shit most of the time.
Hawks are probably some cocky son of bitches,
They look like it.
Sons of bitches, yeah.
I would never trust
Killed one of my chickens one time.
I would never trust a parrot around my toddler. Ever. No. Not a single chance.
I wouldn't trust it around me. I would just
no. Those things are vicious.
They'd pick up on all the things I don't want it to repeat. I'm having friends over and they're like, "You fucking bitch." I'm like, stop, shut up. Get the bird out of here.
I don't know where he learned that.
Yeah, sorry, it's the TV show. So I'll give you like my top three, right? So they can change, but let's see. Raccoons, I think.
Really, I like like dicks. Yeah,
they're dicks. Like they're gonna come steal your stuff. They go through your trash. They're like, they're looking through your windows. We were in Cancun and the raccoons were in the facility. Like there was no doors going to the hotels. The hotel's open to the outside or whatever. And raccoons just going through the food that they left outside from room service or the trash or whatever. They're just rummaging through and they look back at you with this weird look. I say raccoon's number one on mine. Geese is tough. Geese is a good one. I like geese.
Would you ever have a raccoon as a pet?
I would actually. I would love a raccoon as a pet. Squirrel would be another pet that I would take.
Dude, those things will throw acorns at you.
We could be buddies for life. He'd be my buddy. He could go everywhere, just sit on my shoulder with me. I'd be just sleep inside my shirt,
Have you ever seen those sugar gliders?
Yeah, I'd get one.
Dude, I want one so
I would
bad.
cry when they die though, so it wouldn't be worth it. I'd be like, you're my best friend. I used to have a chinchilla.
Yeah.
So COVID gave me a chinchilla because when the school closed down, it was right over spring break, and we had agreed to take the chinchilla over spring break, so it became my chinchilla. And the guy, he was so cool. The chinchillas are really cool, great personalities, and they run up to you and they want to play with you. And I would walk into the room, he'd run up to to the side of the cage and like put his little hands on the bars of the cage and like look at me through it. And so I'd let him out and he'd run and play and everything. And he was really cool, but you have to keep giving them things to chew because their teeth keep growing. And if they grow the wrong way, they start splitting and then they can't eat anything. And they just like slowly like starve to death and then they're in pain. And that's what happened to mine. Man. So I didn't know that. And so like we had some chew toys in there and at some point in time, we just forgot them. And then his teeth started getting bad. I took him to the vet and I noticed he was dribbling and stuff. So I looked it up and teeth got bad, took him to the vet. They tried to do something, but he ultimately just couldn't come back from that. So, but very cool. The chinchilla would be a very cool pet, not an asshole in any way.
Separate category.
Completely separate.
Did you make a coat out of him after he was?
No, I threw him in the trash.
Oh,
I'm a terrible pet. I'm a terrible pet owner. I didn't even give him a burial.
You told the kids that he like left. Right?
Yeah, I think I told him I buried him. But
if you're listening to this, kid,
buried under.
He's buried somewhere.
The waste management plan.
Like he doesn't care anymore. His body's gone. Like he doesn't care anymore. Like he's not there.
What was his name?
Chinchy.
Really original. Did not see that coming.
The kids named him like Roo or something like that, or Ro or something. I was like, that's a stupid name. Your name's Chinchy. Chinchy, come here, Chinchy. Chinchy was pretty cool. Chinchy was pretty cool for sure. So raccoons won. I would say Chihuahuas would be in there.
It's going to be
Chihuahuas, yeah. Chihuahuas and there's some, I would say, what are those whales that like to, killer whales.
Yeah.
Killer whales would be dickheads for sure.
Assholes.
Yeah.
They'll just knock you off like whatever glacier you're on just to like eat you and stuff.
What about like a mountain lion?
Mountain lion might,
Don't killer whales play with their food?
I think so.
Yeah,
like I think they taunt them. Yeah, it's all sport. Like, so they're definitely dicks.
Yeah, that's some motherfuckers.
Yeah, those are mine. Raccoon, Chihuahua, killer whales. I'm pretty versatile.
Yeah, you're all over the animal kingdom.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Yeah, I wondered about like monkeys and things like spider monkeys would be pretty big. Like they're gonna come steal your stuff.
Like an orangutan, they like tear your nuts off.
They might. Orangutan seems pretty chill. Like a gorilla.
No, it's a chimp. It's a chimp.
Chimps are pretty.
Chimps will tear your nuts.
They'll rip your fucking nose off, dude. Like any ear, nose, like anything on your face, they'll just pull it off. It's great. They're strong.
Yeah, and they're so strong.
Crazy. Yeah.
Do you think you guys could beat a chimp in like an arm wrestling match?
Like a baby?
Give me
a baby without a mom around. Ass.
I'll beat that chimp's ass.
No, when you see how strong those things are, it's crazy, man. Like no human comes close.
Like where did that come from though? Because like you always see like donkeys are super strong.
Yeah.
Like is it just the way the muscle fibers are?
Just years of pulling load.
Must be. You're swinging around and holding yourself up.
Dude, because like they're so much smaller. Like I see like a donkey just like whip around a big ass like horse or like cow. Like nothing.
I've never. Yeah. I don't know anything about donkeys.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be interesting.
They're called asses. That's all I know.
That's enough.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? What do you think what are your top three?
Well, Chihuahuas were going to be on my list for sure. They're just, I've never met a Chihuahua that seems nice.
Chihuahuas are just dicks. Just no matter what, they're going to bite your fingers.
I've got to give number one to baboons.
Okay.
And I have a personal story as to why.
Really? Okay.
When I was a little kid, I'm talking like 6, 7 years old, I was at the zoo with my uncles. And these are my fun uncles. They do whatever the hell they want. They're my funkles.
Okay.
Sure. I later realized it's because they're total stoner hippies.
Okay.
And
this is even better.
Even better.
So they're still fun.
They're still fun. Yeah.
Always fun.
But we were looking at the monkeys, and I remember I was holding eye contact with one of the baboons, and it took that as a supreme challenge.
Yeah.
It picked up a handful of like gravel, like sand, and chucked it through the cage and hit me in the eyes.
Really?
And I was just bawling. Like it was traumatic for me. But my uncles immediately started picking up rocks and chucking them back at the monkeys. And I was like, yeah, fuck those guys.
That's right. That's right.
They're number one assholes for sure.
Got him. How funny.
So that's my number one. Number two, I'm not even going to get as specific as geese. I just feel like birds.
Okay.
They just look down on us. They think they're better than us.
You think you could fly, bitch?
Yeah,
we should fly.
Yeah. So the bird kingdom would be my number two. And then number three, dickhead animal. And it can't be a Chihuahua now.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm going to go with cats.
That's fair.
Cats are a good one.
Cats love to like fuck around and find out. They'll like
they just hate
knock your shit off the counter for fun.
Yeah. Hey, it's between cat and squirrel. Squirrels are a good one because you know what Rick says. Don't piss off the squirrels, Morty.
Yep. It's actually a hilarious take where they have like this really sophisticated, like they're monitoring all world governments.
Yeah. I've been trying to get him to watch Rick and Morty.
Oh, I've only watched a couple. I've never watched more than a couple episodes.
Deeply appreciate
really?
It.
Okay.
Have you watched the Vikings?
Wasn't there a Chomo on there or something though? When he a writer, the Chomo?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. He's gone. He's
okay.
Gone.
So just know if you're watching the first like few seasons, like written by Chomo.
Was he a Chomo? I thought he beat his wife.
I think both. I think there was two. I think one of them beat their wife, and the other one was a Chomo.
Okay.
So and
I don't actually know.
And here's my defense. And here's my defense for that.
We're careful. Yeah, real careful.
Here's my defense for that. Like, what did you expect? Like for that content to come out of a brain or whatever, like
he's got to be broken.
Who do you think's coming up with that? Like, I'm sorry. Like,
I would rather he just was a frequent acid user.
Yeah. I mean, like, and then there's like that's a whole thing because you then got like Kevin Spacey who
there's a plenty of Chomos out there. We could go through the list of Chomos.
I don't think we want to touch the Hollywood rabbit hole.
You could just Google real quick all the Chomos in your neighborhood. And that's we had one in our neighborhood. And I don't think it was anything like in the grand scheme of Chomos, like sending a picture to some girl that's just a few years younger than you could get you nabbed if you're 19 and she's 16 or something. And I think that's what it was. And so I'm like, the minimal
strong benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'll give you the, you're not as bad, but man, they brought it up in the Facebook group. They're like, "Oh, did you guys see the Chomo that's here? Did you see this guy?" And he should have. Yeah, he's not close enough to me, but he replied right back in the group. He's like, "Yep, that was me. It was a girlfriend. This and that. And this is what happened." Like, okay, man.
Dude, that's kind of. I mean, shit.
It was like the girlfriend's dad pressed charges or something.
Oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah, crazy.
That's the 1% I'll feel bad for.
There's a small percentage. There's some there's always people that are innocent.
Yeah.
That have been convicted for one reason or another.
So. And a whole lot more that are
not
innocent. Yeah, for sure. Have not been convicted.
For sure.
I always think of Horrible Bosses too.
Yeah.
Like Charlie's character was a registered sex offender for pissing at a park.
Oh God, that's the worst.
It's like it was 3 a.m. at a park. I was just pissing.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my God, that kid must have been terrified."
It's pretty good.
So like, how did you get into bodybuilding?
Oh, straight to it, smooth.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I started weightlifting when I was 12, and
12's what age? So 7th grade.
Oh man,
it's 12. What do you mean? What age is it?
That's 7th grade. 7th grade. Like I'm just putting in a reference.
Yeah. Roughly.
Okay, so you're like 7th grade, middle school, 6th grade. Okay, go ahead.
And we had a weight set in my basement, and I was just, without knowing what the heck I was doing, I was training every night at like midnight, 1 a.m., just clanking weights, pissing my parents off because they're directly above the weight room. But really, I was just a really, undersized, like 100 pounds dripping wet, even going into high school after some years of working out. But 2, I was just a really angry, frustrated kid and didn't have a lot to like channel that. So I was in every sport, but that wasn't the same. And weightlifting was like a really clear path for therapy for me. It was just my outlet.
Did you see it as like the lifting weights activity was what you enjoyed, or was it like the potential muscle gain that you were after? It was the muscle gain. Yeah, that's what it was for me.
It was. Yeah. I mean, not to get too deep into it, but I like wanted to be bigger and stronger and be just completely unfuckable.
Yeah. Well, deep in anybody's transformation where they've done something like that, there has to be a big motivator.
Yeah.
So like guys that are small and get big, we all have some sort of chip on our shoulder or some sort of insecurity, something that's driving us to want. I was the youngest of 3 brothers, got picked on, and like that could have been a big enough driver. Was small, grew up small. Like absolutely were drivers for me to want to be a bodybuilder and be bigger and impressive, or something like that.
It was, and I have a great relationship with my dad now, but he was really angry and worked a lot and just didn't know where to project that. And so,
stressful job. He was a cop back then too, right? Yeah. So stressful job.
Yeah. So he was real stressed out, angry, and it made me want to be to where like I could be bigger and scarier. And like I said, I'm glad we fixed everything now.
Yeah.
But growing up, that was like my big motivator. I was like, fuck this guy. He's not going to be able to yell at me or push me around. I'll be bigger.
Yeah.
So that was probably my biggest motivator.
Okay.
And obviously now it's training from a lot healthier place.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into lifting, bodybuilding.
So when did you make the jump to like your first show?
Yeah, I never thought I would. I always thought that
you didn't think so.
Looks kind of gay.
Yeah.
Guys up there in bikinis, I'm good.
Yeah. That was me. I was like, someday I'll be up there.
At least you knew who you were that time. It took me a while to accept that was in me.
Well, I grew up in the back room of a fitness store with like all the bodybuilder magazines. So like I was looking at like Ronnie Coleman's and people like that from a very young age. And I was like, someday that's
right.
Yeah. And
I feel like
I get your magazine.
I feel like all bodybuilders and like martial artists kind of start off with the same story. Like they feel undersized or undervalued or underappreciated.
Their girlfriend broke their heart.
Yeah.
You know, some girl didn't love them that they really had a crush on. You know, whatever it is, something of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine if any pursuit that everybody has, like there has to be that there's some sort of motivator, some sort of empty hole you're trying to fill or something like that. It's just mine happened and his happened to go in that bodybuilding direction.
Yeah. You know? Nothing motivates you like
it could have been much worse.
Nothing motivates you like a bad breakup or a bad parent, you know, like, yes.
And sometimes you're just born with it, you know, whatever it is. It's just, you know, you just feel like you need to be something else.
Yeah, it's definitely just felt like, I don't know, call it destined for more.
Sure.
But I always knew that like I wouldn't settle for good enough in anything I'm doing. And that's still like ruling principle of my life.
Yeah.
First stepped on stage when I was 19, though. I coached myself into a NANBF natural bodybuilding. This was before men's physique was a thing.
Okay. Yep.
And so I stepped on stage at 19 and I just did the novice class and I got third. And looking back now, you can just laugh at everything I did for that prep because I had no idea what I was doing.
For sure.
Just starved the hell out of myself. And I would just they had those Muscle Farm protein gels.
Yep.
That were just 40 grams of protein. And my meal throughout the day, my meals would be one of those and a bottle of water.
Really?
I'm good. And
that's crazy.
And so I just starved myself down.
Yeah.
And got third there. But that's when I kind of realized like bodybuilding is so much more about how much you can take mentally than it is like the physical presentation. That's just the result of the work you're doing mentally and kind of the unseen hours.
Yeah.
And that's where I really kind of attached to the idea that like, oh, I actually might enjoy this.
Yeah.
I think I first stepped on stage because it was so much my dad was like, you should. I wish I would have.
Yeah.
You're in the gym all the time. You already eat healthy. Like you should.
Yeah.
And so that encouraged me to first try it. And then afterwards I was like, oh, okay, there might be something to this.
Yeah.
And then next time I stepped on stage, I was 21 and men's physique was finally a thing.
Yep.
And that much better suited my look. And also kind of my aspirations to do so. I knew I never wanted to be 300 pound.
Sure.
I wasn't willing to pay the physical price for that.
Yeah. So
I stepped on stage and won my first show I did for men's physique. Got the overall.
Nice.
I didn't even do the novice class because at that point, even at 21, I'm pretty hyper competitive. So I was kind of like, my ego was like, I ain't no novice.
That's how I was.
Yeah,
I did my first show and I got second in novice, I think, and fourth in open.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I guess I'm not a novice anymore.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, why would I compete now? It's like a second place in my first show. Like I'm not that bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was like, I don't need to be a novice.
And then what's the most competitive one?
I went straight to the open, and I was like, after that, I never looked back. I should have done novice because I would have had more trophies. You know?
Yeah, sure. Be something to hang your hat on there.
Yeah, if you want some trophies. Yeah. You know, after a while, that's I saw my old coach Ken Skip Hill.
Yeah.
I watched him moved houses or something like that. And I watched him throw all of his trophies in the garbage. And he's like, all of them. Like, he was just like, I don't care about these things. Yeah. And they're all the nice statue, like posed ones. And he was like, and it was like, he showed the pictures like in the trash can and like broken and stuff. I was like, at a certain point, those things probably aren't important anymore. So.
That's massive respect to do that.
Yeah.
Mine, most of the time, mine were sitting in the sock drawer, like just collecting dust. Like,
I
didn't do shit. Now I have an office and a workspace, so they're on display. Looks cool.
I've got some of mine still sitting out. Yeah. Just in my office area.
Yeah, it's
I'm proud.
Dude, I grew up racing motocross, so I have like used to have tons of like trophies from that, and then those got given away to like neighborhood kids, and just my dad gave all those away. So
the show where you went overall, was that the Midway? Was that that? Okay.
Yep, it was the Midway.
I remember that one. I didn't know you as well at that point,
right?
But I knew you.
Yeah.
And
that's actually when after the Midway was I didn't know you owned Nutrithority.
Oh, really?
And that's when I had reached out and I was like, hey, like I see you guys are in Wichita, Kansas. I don't know how I don't know who's running it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd love to team up.
Yeah.
And funny enough, 11 years later.
Yeah, dude. What was that, like 2014?
That was 21 would be 11 years ago for me. So
yeah. How old are you?
32.
32. Okay. So 11 years ago from, I don't even know. That's 2013.
Was that the first year Nutrithority started?
It was 2014 probably.
So that had to have been it.
Yeah, 2014. Because we started in 2013. And then you did, I think it was the All-Star, because I competed in 2015 in the All-Star. And I think you did the All-Star. And that was the one. So it had to be 2014.
I was working with you at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun
one. That would have been 2014's. That's when I first even affiliated with Nutrithority.
Yeah, it's been a while. Almost 10 years now.
I'll take it. That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
But then after that, of course, being young and just ignorant. I'm thinking like my shit don't stink.
Yeah.
I got what it takes. I just want an overall. What am I doing on an amateur level?
Yeah.
And so I'm already mapping out plans to go to a national show in November in Miami. And that was humbling. It was a very valuable lesson. Like I definitely wouldn't take that back. It's probably one of the most valuable competitions I've ever done because it just opened my eyes to where I'm really at. It brought a ton of self-awareness with it. And it also just, you get an opportunity when you get your ass beat like that. You know, I got like 16th, the 16-way tie.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Everybody's 16th.
Everybody's 16th.
Yeah.
So I got 16th place. And most people, that's the separating factor right there. How are you going to respond to that? Most people realize it's not for them or get discouraged or blame anything but themselves. Mm-hmm. And I instead just said, oh shit, I got a lot of work to do. And I didn't step back onto the national stage until 3 years later.
Okay. Yeah.
So then I teamed up with you after that too.
Yeah.
Made a whole lot more progress.
Yeah.
And then we won a couple shows. And,
Yep. That was fun.
Yeah. So then after I stepped on the national stage in 2017.
So is that like the pro jump or just to
So to be pro, you have to win the nationals.
Okay.
Place pretty high in the nationals, right? First or second, depending on the show.
Top 2. And I did my next national show in 2017 and it was USA's in Vegas. And that's where I got my pro card.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I took a year off before my pro debut.
So what's that look like? Like from that like transformation of like routine day to day, like from amateur to pro. Like what's that look like for you?
It shouldn't look much different if your aspirations are to become a pro. Like,
gotcha.
In order to earn that pro card, I learned pretty quickly you have to execute as a pro for years before you get to be a pro. And so like people always worry about the sacrifices you make now as far as like your social life. It's going to take a hit. You should probably forget about the concept of balance. But if you want to be great at anything, you shouldn't be worried about balance. You should be all in on what you're trying to be great at. So it didn't look much different when I finally became pro. It's like the meals are pretty automatic. I don't overthink my food. I don't add this emotional attachment that I think so many people do to their food. It serves me. I feel good off of it. It tastes good for the most part, but taste isn't the number one priority with my meals. It's how I feel off of them. And when you're able to kind of separate yourself from the taste bud sensation, the dopamine spike you get, then I think you're able to put a lot more energy and focus on the big rocks and shit that matters outside of your nutrition. And so I would think we just overcomplicate everything. Mm-hmm. But it looked about the same when I made it pro. Meals were consistent. I still eat 5 meals a day. At the highest, there were 6 meals a day in my build season most recently, but we're back to 5. And it's like I train 5 days a week, sometimes 4 now, just kind of reading my body, getting better at manipulating my rest and recovery. And you just keep a business-like mindset. You clock in, it's year round. I don't take seasons off. In bodybuilding, you don't really get an off season. That's when your competition's making progress. So I think the sooner you realize that and you don't look for your breaks, you realize like your break is getting to go into the gym. That's your escape. You don't need to escape from that. That helps you not get burnt out. It helps you stay sharp physically, mentally. And I think the people wait to flip a switch. Like I'll get serious about it now. I'll get good at it now. Once I hit this level, then I'll do this step or take it this much more serious or commit this way. And that's just limiting yourself. It's just like if you have the capabilities and the means to do better now and to go all in now, then only you can stop you. Like get your ass in the ring.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Do you feel like you've always had that like kind of sense of dedication, or do you feel like bodybuilding helped you build that?
Yeah. Do you feel like that part was naturally ingrained in you with discipline? Like your ability to discipline yourself towards this goal was something that came naturally? You wanted to do it? Or do you think it was something that you had to, I mean, of course it developed.
Yeah.
But, I feel like for me, I'll just take me for example. I don't feel like it was tough for me. Yeah. Like I was in middle school, like I remember eating oatmeal and like going relatively low carb in middle school and trying to hit protein macros before I knew what macros were. I just knew I was trying to hit a protein goal every day. And that didn't feel like it was hard. Like I wanted to. Yeah. Like I wanted the goal. So like not eating the stuff that I wanted to eat wasn't that difficult, even in middle school for the most part.
Is more inner or ingrained in you.
Yeah. I never found I've always found those kind of things just natural. I haven't found and I've always related back to that I want the goal bad enough that it's not discipline to me. It feels like it's not discipline, right?
I think you have a heightened level of self-awareness too.
Could be.
Like, I think part of it was natural for me. My siblings always say like, well, we didn't get that. Like,
that's a good way to put it.
The driven one. And my rebuttal is always just like, well, I don't leave room for it to be left to chance or left to just some hopeful genetic predisposition.
Yeah.
Like I've continually like, when I don't feel like doing the work, I know it's necessary.
Okay.
You don't view it as an option.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm in prep, eating off plan just isn't an option.
Yeah. And at whenever I was growing up at my parents' store, we said, you don't call in, you crawl in.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good way to put it too.
That's a good
you don't call in
early.
Yeah. You don't call in, you crawl in.
Yeah.
Like if you can crawl in, you can come to work.
That's perfect.
That was before the COVID years, before everybody called off for everything, but
everything.
Yeah. Back then it was like, I remember delivering a treadmill and they needed my help. I was like throwing up flu level. And they're like, we got a treadmill that's like an hour away. They need somebody that can help carry it in the door. And that's all. Like, so you just have to drive out there with them, carry it in the door, and then you can go sit in the van and just like wait. I was like, okay. And so we go and I'm like, pull over, like halfway down. I'm like throwing up on the side of the road. And I'm like, all right, let's keep going. So I just walked and I helped him carry it in and I let him do the rest. And I just sat there miserable, like sweating and puking and stuff like that. So
that's flu game Jared right there.
Yeah,
flu game Jared.
So, you don't call in, you crawl in. But that's how it's got to be for any of the goals that you're going after. I mean, of course, there's a little bit of a, your body, like you'd mentioned earlier, switching it up between 5 days and 4 days and things like that. So there's always that comes into it. But
do you ever switch it up, like try other like forms of physical activity, like swimming or jiu-jitsu or just anything like that to try to keep yourself like, I don't know, like still fitness based and minded, but not so like monotonous?
Yeah. I used to be a lot more active in jiu-jitsu, grappling, like ground fighting. My dad was actually the instructor for the self-defense classes for Wichita PD.
Okay.
And so he'd just bring me every weekend and I just get my ass beat by these full-grown men.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like you pick up quite a bit that way. I think as I got more and more into bodybuilding, the risk for injury, because I'd always try to like really control or be really tight.
Yeah.
And I'd always strain my neck. And so I backed off more and more of that.
Neck and shoulders.
Yep. And so,
yeah, I do. Yeah.
And I'd also like, I would do some kickboxing with my friends as well. And they had a basement setup. It was super black market kickboxing.
Yeah.
But like they had the mats and my feet, I'd always be barefoot. And when I'm transitioning, my toe would stick to the mat and break.
Oh yeah.
And like once it does it once, it'll just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so just the nagging neck injuries and everything finally was really hindering bodybuilding. So that's why I backed off of that. I still will challenge myself. Like I love to play pickleball. I'll put myself on a basketball court. I don't move the way I used to, but I'll still play. And then swimming, I'm a big fan of swimming because I'm terrible at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's excellent cardio. So I burn
You're
so many
to
calories trying to swim.
That's true. That'll wear you out fast.
Yeah. And it's like I've had people, it looks like I'm drowning. And I've had people ask if they could help. Like, hey, do you want some tips on your... And I'm like, no, please don't.
Yeah.
It's like, I promise I'll get so much more done here for my fat burning goals.
I burn more calories with an inefficient swimming.
I'm not here to survive. I'm here to...
I'm just trying not to drown.
Yeah.
Yep. How funny.
You're going to be on a cruise someday and like fall in, like, fuck, I should have worried about the technique more.
Yep.
Pretty much.
For sure.
Yeah, the cruise, that brings a whole nother nightmare because then I'm like, sharks. Can I add sharks to dickhead?
Sharks would be
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Crabs would be one that I could add too.
Yeah.
Those things will pinch the shit out of you.
Bastards, yeah.
You pick them up and they're going to pinch the shit out of you. Made my kid bleed. Those little tiny crabs. They're fast. Like you chase them. Like and they run sideways. It's really or like backwards or something.
Which
it's
is
really
a way of taunting you, like a dickhead thing.
Yeah, it's like looking at you while it's running away from you. Yeah, fucking crabs.
I've never had any experiences with crabs.
Only in Florida. We went down to Florida and we dug them up through the sand and like they leave these little holes. They're called ghost crabs. They like dig straight down in the sand. So we just dug them out and like they would jump out at you and like try and run away like spider would almost. It was pretty creepy. It was fun.
They're sand spiders.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like a sand spider, but was not nearly as afraid of them as spiders.
Oh yeah, I'm way more afraid of spiders.
I wouldn't want to dig up like a tarantula or something. Just at one point you're going to touch it. Where I would like touch the crab and I'd be like, okay, I found it. And then it would jump out at me.
So
you brought up the cruise.
Yeah, I brought up the cruise and we got crabs.
This is just natural conversation. This is how it works.
That's
like if you ever have a conversation with my wife, and I hope she's listening, dude, it'll go on like 13 tangents.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be like, this connects to this, connects to this, and this, and this. And then you're like, all right, back to the topic.
Yeah, back to the...
Is that how she answers questions for you?
Yeah.
If you ask her a direct question, there's no such thing as a direct answer?
I'm sure there is, but depending on the question. But a lot of times there is like she tries to attribute it a lot to like an ADHD brain kind of thing. Have you ever seen those things where they're like, they're cleaning the dishes and they're like, to clean the dishes, I have to, get a towel. And then to get a towel, I have to do the laundry. And then to get the laundry, I have to, go buy laundry detergent or something. So like they never get anything done because like they're constantly switching tasks or something. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of like the conversation just moves from one to another to another to another, and then finally back around to the beginning topic. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's why you told me all this story. That makes sense. Like, I forgot. So I feel like that's kind of, that's kind of the podcast too. We'll be back around at some point in time. Just stick along.
If I ask Sam, and I always make fun of her for this, but if I say like, hey, what time? Like I have to pick her up from work today.
Yeah.
And hey, what time do you need me to come pick you up from work? The answer is, hey, this time. It's, well, I need to go to Target because I need to get some of this to make some baskets for our Christmas party we still have to have tomorrow. And I need to run these errands tomorrow, but I need to do these tonight. And like 30 minutes later, I'll revisit. I'm like, so what time do you need me to do?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm making sure you know every detail.
Yeah. The straightforward approach. It's not quite the same. No, we don't speak the same language.
Have you guys ever tried asking your girls like where they wanted to eat? That's a fucking...
Yeah, but I'm just as bad though, because I'm just like, okay, I really don't care, because I really don't mind like whatever we choose. Like you want to choose, some Mexican food tonight, let's eat it. You want to choose sushi, I'll eat it. You want to get Japanese, you want a burger, like I really don't care. Like it's all good. Like I'll eat all of it for the most part. But so I'm just as bad sometimes on that one. But I'll give her like 3 options. I'm like, okay, this, and this. Which one do you want?
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, and then there'll be like 2 options they really don't want, and the one they do, but they won't tell you that. And then you pick it, and there's 20 options they don't want, and they're like, like, what do you mean? Like, how is that?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty upfront. Like, just tell me what you want. Like, please, I just want to go where you want to go. But she's also, I think she's the same way. She's like, I just want to go where anybody else wants to go. I don't care. So then I'm like, all right, it's 5 guys. We're going to 5 guys.
It's 5 guys. It's always
my kids get so angry.
Spots.
What?
We have like a couple staple spots for our free meal.
Mm-hmm.
Keeps things real simple.
It does. We're pretty routine on what we have. Well, outside every once in a while to a new thing, but 5 Guys is one of my favorites.
What are the staple spots other than 5 Guys?
5 Guys, Jimmy John's, McDonald's. It used to be pizza, like a Domino's. Mm-hmm. Used to get Domino's. Freddy's. I don't know if everybody listening, not everybody has Freddy's.
Freddy's is ours.
Freddy's is great. Yeah, Freddy's is great.
Freddy's or Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Again, it's another one.
Last night.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A, Freddy's, 5 Guys, McDonald's, Wendy's, Taco Shop every once in a while. That's pretty much it.
It's like exotic.
Yeah, the taco shop's like...
yeah, you threw a little spice in there.
Little tacos.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, mine's Freddy's or Chick-fil-A.
Freddy's or Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, and then if we want some sweets, we'll throw some Andes.
But how do you feel about those Freddy's fries?
They are delicious, but they're so frustrating.
I hate their fries.
Yeah,
so
I get
much.
ketchup all over my fingers.
If you get them fresh, they're
chili
pretty
and
good.
Cheese.
Like if you get them right and they're hot, but they cool down so fast. Like I bring the food home most of the time, and it's already starting to cool down. So
that's fair. I mean, if the standard, like if you're comparing these to McDonald's fries, nothing is going to measure up.
Yeah, that's true. The onion rings, I get the onion rings at Freddy's. They're good. You're not an onion ring guys. No. Okay, that's fair.
I'm not judging you based on.
That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Onion rings are just like the fries are so small. I have to grab like 45 of them to eat like this weird.
You eat it like popcorn at a movie.
Yeah. It's like popcorn. I'm like trying to shove it in my mouth, where the onion rings, at least I can eat normally.
Yeah. That's fair.
You mentioned, Dan, about your siblings saying they didn't get what you got. Aside from being a pro bodybuilder, you also coach as well.
I do.
Is there like a predetermined personality type or attitude or anything that people walk in with where that they're going to achieve their goal? Like, this person means what they say and they're going to do it? Or
like you get their questionnaire, you've talked to them and you're like, this person's going to be successful. I can tell. Or this person will not follow through for sure.
Yeah. I'll start with the warning signs, the red flags.
Those are good. Yeah.
If they're really heavily blaming anything else but themselves, but like their last coach, talking about how terrible they did.
Yeah, dude.
You can provide valuable information about what they did wrong without making it their fault about your current state.
Yeah. And or you can allude to it. I just wasn't a big fan with my last coach. So I'm just looking for somebody new. Like, leave it at that. That's fine.
Exactly.
But yeah, coach bashing. That is a warning flag for sure.
That and how long they take to get back on their responses.
Okay.
Like that usually gives me a pretty good indication to how serious they are, how ready they are to make a change.
Yeah.
And also if they just have a habit of procrastinating, which that can be a beast. Like when you're working together, like that's something they're going to have to heavily overcome to check their daily boxes.
Yeah.
And so time, ownership, things that I see that I'm immediately like, hell yes, this person's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Of course, enthusiasm. Like if they're really excited about it, but you have to be careful with that because I see it especially in young men. Like when we're really motivated, we say whatever the hell we need to say to like get the situation,
to try and get the girl.
Get the girl, the objective, sure.
Just lie. It doesn't matter.
It's like that's not where I'm going.
Just lie to them,
we're
guys.
just like very emotionally motivated, and so we're like, yes, I don't care if I have to eat ceiling tiles with ketchup 6 meals a day. We'll do whatever it takes to make these goals. And like that motivation is very flimsy. It's going to go away. And oftentimes when that's your reason you're signing up, like I'm not going to see another check-in after you're less than motivated.
Yeah.
So I need enthusiasm, or I like to see enthusiasm and good energy. And then I even ask people on their application when they submit that for us to work together, I ask, what's your why? You know, what are you doing this for? And it's a cliche quote I'll steal, but if someone has a powerful enough why, they can handle almost any how. Mm-hmm. And so that tells me a ton about like, if they're doing this for selfless reasons to like set a better example for their kids, live a stronger, more meaningful life, like be a stronger leader in their community, those are really powerful reasons. That's a powerful incentive to like change your shit and to get better and better. And so when I see those, I'm like, this person's going to be successful.
Do you ever turn anybody away? Or do you just say, if you're willing to try, I'm willing to try with you? You know, I don't see anything wrong with either approach.
I give everybody a chance.
Okay. Yeah.
That's because I don't always trust my snap judgment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I hope you'll surprise me. If I see this and I'm like, I've worked with this before, it doesn't typically work out. But you're your own person and you could rewrite that story. You could completely surprise me. So like, I'll give you a chance.
Yeah.
I'll give first.
I did that every once in a while. Every once in a while I would prejudge somebody. Like there was a guy that I think competed at the same show we competed at. Right. And, he came to me, I want to do a show. Didn't really work out. Like didn't really look like he looked like a box. Like didn't look like he would look good on stage. He followed through. He made a transformation. He looked fantastic. He didn't win. You know, he wasn't that guy, but he looked amazing. I was like, holy shit, this guy, like one of my favorite transformations. Like that's crazy. But like, I never would have worked with that guy if I had a standard or like, I don't know, this guy's not going to get on stage, you know, but he just proved me wrong or just, you know, proved what he could do. And, you know, I don't think he's ever done a show since then, but like did it and stuff like that. So I was always under the impression, like, if you want to go for it, I'm on your side. I'll give you the reality of the situation. You're not going to win. Yeah. Like you can get, if this is like bucket list and you want to compete or something like that, and you're just like, I just want to get on stage. I'll help you look as good as you can, but I'm not guaranteeing you're going to win or anything. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. I mean, why promise something outside of your control anyways?
For sure.
Like even when you get somebody that's a genetic anomaly, I still won't say, we don't guarantee wins. I don't even say like, of course our objective to step up there is to win.
Yeah, for sure.
But like that is not what determines our success throughout a prep and throughout a show day.
Yeah.
And so I just really try to focus on those. I'm like, the stoic philosophy is when the archer fires his arrow, he makes sure he perfectly aligns, perfectly draws back, times it with his breath, shoots it according to the wind, fires the most perfect shot he possibly can at the target, and then he's at peace no matter what happens from there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, anything can happen after that arrow leaves your bow that's outside of your control. You can't let that affect how you viewed it.
Yeah.
And so I try to have the same approach with my athletes prep. I'm like, here's what we've got within our control. Let's fire the most beautiful shot we possibly can and be at peace with where it lands.
Yeah. So what it look like whenever you went full time with coaching, you know, because you had coaching for a while and you were working, but at some point in time you had to make the jump to full time. Like what'd that look like for you?
So this is year 9 coaching, and it's going into my 4th year coaching just full time as my primary means of income. It was scary.
Yeah.
You know what
I'm
I mean?
sure.
I don't think I ever would have felt fully ready.
Yeah.
But there came a time where I was making enough consistently, and I made sure I was making enough for like 9 months consistently that I knew like, okay, it'll be slim, but I know I can live off of this and I'll have 40 hours more that I can invest
for sure
into my coaching. So I took the leap after I'd made, I think it was 7 months consistently enough to pay my rent. You work out your budget, cut some streaming services, maybe live a little more scarce for a bit. But it was the greatest move I could have made, because going all in on myself, I immediately was able to start getting into like mentorship programs and really start to ask coaches other questions, or other coaches with a lot more experienced questions, and pick their brains and develop a deeper understanding. So it was like pouring gasoline on the fire of my own coaching.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome.
What were you like doing like as your like your 9 to 5 before you went full time? Just
I was a sales manager for a Sleep Number, man. I was slinging beds, and I was really good at it, and I did not enjoy it at all. And I could only be successful in those sales because I know like improving someone's sleep does help improve their life. And so I was like, okay, you're buying an $8,000 mattress. You're going to be sleeping really, really good.
$8,000 air mattress.
Yeah. Adjustable mattress. Well, I still got my sleep number.
It's not a bad bed. It's just $8,000, you know?
Oh yeah. There were some jaw dropping experiences working there.
I'm sure.
But I was managing
ask Brock real quick how much he bought his bed off Amazon for.
Oh, off Amazon's my first one. What'd you spend on that bed?
It was like $310, but then I got like a $60 like rebate on it.
$250 bed. How long have you had it?
I've had it for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. My wife, I don't mind it. My wife says that she like falls into a hole in the middle every night.
Yeah, you're not going to get the best quality. We did that. I tried it too. I tried one before he ever bought one. Yeah, on Amazon. And I was like, oh, it's like $300 bed. I'm like, how different can beds be, really? And so we ordered one. It was a hybrid, and it was like inner coil spring.
Yeah, that's
they were like pocketed, so like it would not move as much, and it still had like memory foam on the top and stuff. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like if it's $300 and only lasts a year, it's not that bad. Like I could buy a $3,000 bed that lasts me 5 years or 10 years or whatever, right? And so I was like, let's try it, and I get it, and we put it together. And the best way I could describe it is it just feels cheap. Yeah. Just felt cheap. And so we were like, immediately, we were like, let's try it. I don't know. And we tried it. Eventually, Amazon, I just contacted Amazon. I was like, I want to return this. It's not. Dude. I made sure that I could beforehand. Yeah. And so they're like, here's your money back. You can just keep the bed, dispose of it. So I'll dispose of it eventually.
Did they try to get you?
I have to buy another bed first.
That's a dope deal, though.
Did they try to get you to do the label first, or like try to ship it back first?
They tried, but like I was like, this is a bed. How am I going to get it into a box?
Yeah,
and then they're like, oh, here you go.
This is good information because I've been wanting to return mine, and now I know that I can just like, okay, sweet.
Yeah,
don't do it. I do not advise it. Go up to like the $600. I'd be like $600.
You probably get a better one.
Is like your bare minimum for like.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part is always Amazon. Not trying it is the biggest mistake. So, like, next time I'm going to go is just try buying one around here in mattress stores.
Dan probably has a better idea. What are your tips for buying a mattress?
Well, thank you for asking.
There you go.
As a trained sleep expert.
We got the expert here.
I mean, I think it's an area that is worth investing because you spend over a third of your life in bed, most people, and it directly impacts the quality of your next day. Internally and externally.
Yeah.
So it's one thing that after working there, like I've been very bougie about my sleep environment. Like I'd only get my favorite temperature balancing sheets, and my pillow is very specific. I bring it with me everywhere.
Yeah.
Like once I'm done with this bed, I'll get another sleep number, even though I know I'm paying full price next time.
Yeah.
But it'll be well worth it just because.
Not after this podcast.
Hey.
Not after they see this.
Ooh, let's go.
Brought to you by Sleep Number.
Hey, you guys are. I know Dak is their poster boy, but he's been kind of flimsy this year, so you guys need a new sponsor.
They just need one that's beefy enough, right? Like we've got the bed that's beefy enough for you.
Yeah. And it is convenient. I mean, you can adjust your.
You have the two sides. Yeah. Do you have the incline? Do you wish
the queen?
Do you wish you had the incline?
Only if I got a king, so you can split the heads.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Sam and I would want.
I would love to like sit up and like read in bed or like watch TV in my bed and like sitting up. I hate my bed otherwise for anything. Like I just sleep there. I won't hang out.
I'll read in bed, but it's like the awkward pillow wadded up and wedged to hold me up.
Yeah, I hate that. I just go to my office and read whenever I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's
if I'm in bed at that point, it's TikTok.
So that's where
TikTok or YouTube.
That's where I go to TikTok, or I play with my Spanish games or something.
Hey, that's constructive. Though.
It's something. It's something. Yeah.
But you have some weird dreams. You fall asleep with your Spanish games.
I have had Spanish thoughts on the mind since then. Yeah, that was really cool. It's like I woke up with like Spanish words in my head. I'm like, interesting.
Muy bien.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that's my best advice. Is like, even though it could be a scary initial investment, like. It's probably worth it to go a little more quality focused on your sleep experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say only Sleep Number or plug this brand. It's find the bed that makes sense for you. It's awkward going mattress shopping. Dude, I used to sell beds. People lay down on beds in front of you and try to relax. Like there's nothing relaxing about a stranger watching you lay down. But it's worth it to try out a couple and find the bed that's most suited to you.
Yeah. Dude, I agree.
We should, that gives me an idea for a prank. We should go like mattress shopping and ask them to like sing us lullabies over.
And then you and I can just sit there and like cuddle.
Yeah.
We're used to a third spoon.
Can you get in here, please? That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Can you insulate me in, please? I need
I need another one on the backside. Just let me see what it feels like on both sides.
It's gotta be the real thing. We gotta feel it.
It would be worthwhile, I wonder what the salesman would do.
And how bad does he want to make
That's right. You want some commission today?
Yeah.
Do you have any funny like horror stories from from selling at mattresses?
Not really. No pranksters. I think I was probably a natural deterrent in my like polo that's probably too small at the time. Like, I think I scared off a lot of that. It was just funny being in sales because you get to really focus on people's behavior patterns.
Yeah.
And like you pick up on that, and obviously you learn like how to mirror the appropriate ones. And it was a really fascinating time for me to pick up on those skills. But it was definitely incentive for me to keep building the coaching. So I was like, I don't want to do this forever. I want to be my own boss. I'm kind of tired of corporate telling me what to do, and I can't tell them to go shit in their own hand. Like, I want to be able to have that power. And so I actually, after Sleep Number, I left there and I started working at Supplement Giant. And I worked there for a few years, ended up being one of their managers. And that worked so perfectly with building the roster too. And they were so cool about letting me do both. But people are coming in to buy supplements and look to make a change. And I'm like, hey, these supplements would work great with some coaching.
My coaching.
So it was a perfect 1-2 combo.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
And that's
I took that straight out of your playbook.
Well, and half the time you don't even have to you're not like trying to sell them. It's just once it comes up in conversation, they're like, "Oh, you're a coach." You're like, "Yeah, I do this kind of stuff," and then like it naturally evolves into like the next step because they're interested.
Yeah,
and so I felt like it was always like a natural like if you're a good salesman and you're helpful and you're knowledgeable, they want to know more. And if you ever mention anything about it, it's like that was the hook.
Yeah.
So.
Well, because people that are genuinely trying to make a change, they have a lot of questions.
Yeah. It makes it easy.
Yeah. So you provide honest, genuine answers there, and it's a natural connection.
Do you remember the first person that gave you money
for coaching?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. It was brother and sisters that asked me to prep them.
Okay.
And I said, we'll figure it out together. Like, I prep myself plenty of times. I know in theory what to do to prep you guys. But, it's definitely going to be a learning experience for all three of us.
Yeah.
But they were cool that they paid me, man, I think it was $400 for a full 12-week prep.
Yeah.
And not too bad.
Yeah.
I think brother got second in his class.
Okay.
And then sister, top 5.
Yeah.
Not great, but looking back, I'd love to coach them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Give me another chance now because I'll put that to shame. But
yeah. I remember whenever I got my first check and it was like $275 or something like that. Blair Hollingsworth, I think is who it was. If she ever could listen, I don't think I've ever spoken to her since.
She's probably still following close.
Yeah. She may be. Thanks, Blair. I was like, it just felt surreal. It was like, you're paying me for this? Okay, $275.
Okay. Should I quit everything?
Yeah,
let's do this.
Like, this is it right here,
dude. That's how it was when I first got into like photography and stuff.
Yeah,
because the first like big gig I ever did was I had this drone and they were doing a fireworks show for my dad's neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah,
and I was like, it'd be kind of badass if I got like a video of the show from the sky.
Yeah,
and I hadn't really seen any of those, so I went and pitched it to him. I said, look, it's like for $1,000. I'll get a video of the sky. I'll go through and get like videos of like all the lake activities for the day and everything. I'll put you together some clips for social media, some photos for the show and all that. So yeah, I did that like 3 years in a row. Yeah. And that's kind of what like that was like my first paid gig for media. And then I went in like senior photos and whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely surreal, like getting paid for something that you've been working on for so long.
Absolutely.
And it's like very rewarding and whatnot.
And something that you just kind of enjoy. You almost do it for free.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I would love to coach you, but like the payment would make this better.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to be able to live off doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd be able to keep
the schedule, especially for you with coaching and everything, you set your own hours, work when you want to work, where from you want to work. If you guys want to take a month, other than your wife's job, obviously, but if you wanted to take a month and just travel in an RV and work from the RV, you could do that. Oh, yeah. Take a year and just travel in the United States, just work from the RV. That'd be cool.
So that's kind of partially why I asked, is because people that find success in like their dreams or what they want to do, a lot of things that get taken for granted are the situations that they're in leading up to that. Like the situations that they put themselves in that might not be so comfortable or their end goal, but allows them the time and the effort and the energy allocation to that specific goal to be able to achieve that. So I just like the fact that you like worked at like Supplement Giant or something like that, where it kind of really tied into your goal. Because a lot of people will say they want to achieve something, but they aren't taking the necessary steps to do that. Like they say they want to do stuff, but it's just actual application doesn't happen. And so,
I think take your timeline and add 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's like most people, because everything is so convenient and instant now, we have a really hard time grasping what it is to like have delayed gratification. But like, for example, when I'm building the coaching roster or building Team Icon and I'm working full time, I mean, you're probably still putting a good 25 hours plus a week into your coaching and trying to build that. And so you working 65, 70-hour weeks. And then when I got my pro card, I was working at Sleep Number and I was coaching on the side, and Sleep Number, you had to be there for 45 minimum as the manager. And then I'm working on my coaching. And then I was also going through an EMT course. Yeah. And that's 12-hour cert for 3 months through college there. And so I was doing all that while still prepping. And it's like, you just know, put yourself in these extreme situations of discomfort, because like the greater level of discomfort you can handle, the greater the potential growth out of the situation. And also like, I thrive in thinking that like most people would quit. Mm-hmm. You know, like put me in a situation where I'm like, this is an opportunity to be an outlier and set yourself apart. Most people would fold under this pressure. Like, let's see how I do.
Do you think you could pass BUDS training, Navy SEAL BUDS?
Oof. Oh man,
right? Like that's a real
swimmer.
question.
Yeah.
It's not the swim; it's the mental side, right? Yeah. And you've heard about it. You've read all that stuff. So yeah.
Big Goggins fan.
Yeah.
Big Goggins.
I always look at that stuff and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's like simulated drowning.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I think I could handle the pain, the cold part.
Okay.
You know, they try to freeze you out and sleep deprive you, and like I wouldn't at all want to like minimize or diminish what that is, but I'm pretty sure I could handle that because I have the part of me that loves that shit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I do the cold plunges every day, and that's like nothing compared to what they're doing, but I do it because I'm seeking more challenges.
Yeah.
So I think I would enjoy the challenge to find out. I think physically I'd have to do a lot of preparing to figure out how to swim good enough.
For sure. Yeah.
But
physical side's a whole different side, but mentally
I like
doing that. Yeah.
We'd find out, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to think I could. I don't know. The cold, like you talk about when they're like sitting in the beach, locked arms, and like the water's rushing over them and the sand's hitting them. And it's just like constantly, it's cold and it's like, you know, irritating to their skin and like things like that. And just constantly, there's no comfort for like however long they do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, just misery.
I think the sleep deprivation would be the worst for me. I'm less scared about the water stuff just because like I grew up around the water. I was a lifeguard since age 15.
Yeah, you can't be drown. I'm probably out of the drowning.
Yeah, no, like that doesn't really bother me too much. Like that, like that's whatever. Like, you know, I've been choked out and like basically almost drowned and whatnot. So like that, like
kinky.
That fear, that kinky,
elaborate.
That fear has kind of been conditioned out. But like, oh man, that sleep deprivation.
Yeah,
like
that would be tough for sure.
I don't know. I think just my whole strategy would be like the Marcus Luttrell approach, where he says he breaks everything down into 60-minute increments.
Okay, that's
like, there's nothing you can do to me for 60 minutes that would break me.
That's bullshit. That's
Marcus Luttrell's the lone survivor.
Marcus Luttrell can do that.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm saying for me that's bullshit.
Give me a mild inconvenience for 60 minutes, and I'll be irritated.
I can tell you just based off of like wrestling in high school, you can have some pretty shitty stuff done to you in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
like you can be within 5 minutes you can be pretty fucking miserable. So I don't like a whole hour. Like I don't know.
Yeah. But I do think there's value in breaking it down into digestible.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm saying me personally, no way.
I think that would be half of what would get me out of it. Is if it was like day 3 and you got a week, and I'd be like, dude, it's only fucking day 3. Like I have to go through like 4 more days of this. I don't know if it's a full week, but like I have to go through 4 more days of this. Like I don't think I can make 4 more days. But doing it by the hourly increments, like
it's kind of like the ADHD thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
In the minute you're over 3.5 days and you're over the halfway point, I feel like it's the opposite.
It's true.
I'm over halfway and I'm not backing out now.
Yeah, that's true. But it's still, even at the last of the prep, like you're like 2 weeks out from prep, and you're like, I still got 2 weeks. Like,
that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Like, because time drives so slow.
Yeah.
And you're just uncomfortable at every minute of the day.
Yeah.
I remember I was driving back, we're moving back from Vegas, and we're in Kingman. It's like an hour and 30 minutes out. Like 4 a.m. I'm like, oh my God. We've just been driving 22 hours. So what's another hour and 15? Like
it's the worst. That's the longest hour and 15
It's like, dude, I'm going to fall asleep at the wheel.
Yeah. So let's move on to like somebody else that's listening that hasn't competed and wants to compete.
Yeah.
Like what, for those kind of people, like what is it that would help them know they're ready to like step on stage, hire a coach, move forward with their next steps? Like, well, you know, what is it?
Yeah, I think some prerequisites before you look to compete.
Yeah.
You definitely need to enjoy training. Like you should have a history of resistance training. Don't start weightlifting to step on stage, because you're not going to have enough of a foundation.
There's so many people that do, though.
Yeah. They pick the show and then they start to add the habits.
Yes.
That, and you need to already have a healthy relationship with food.
Okay.
Like if you have eating disorder or a history of eating disorders and you haven't conquered that beast, then your show prep will 10x it.
Yeah.
I have a question with that eating disorder thing. So did you mean healthy relationship with food of like, does that go both directions on not being able to eat enough and eating too much?
Yeah. I mean, binging or starving, whichever it's going to exacerbate your previous issues. So
for sure.
You better have a pretty solid grasp of where you're at with your nutritional needs. Yeah. And then hire a coach. Obviously, I'm biased to that.
Of course.
But, it's so massively valuable for you. And you should hire a coach as far out from the show as you possibly can to really increase your likelihood for success.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to compete, the objective is to win, like we spoke of, whatever that win looks like for you. But which athlete do you think is going to win? The one that's worked with his coach for 3 months or the one that's been with that same coach for a year? They've encountered all sorts of obstacles. That coach knows how they operate in the dark. Like that coach has them figured out forwards, backwards, inside out. Your coach is still trying to figure things out because this is week 12.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're really just shortcutting all the effort. Like the first show you did, for example. I mean, you learned a lot because you did it. But like, just imagine where you would have been if the first time you did a show, you hired the coach that you needed and you learned the process of not starving yourself and how to get the results, the best result, looking the best, but also just strategies of how it works. I mean, you're really paying for the knowledge more than anything else.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to break it down to athletes that are looking for a coach. I'm like, first, if you're in the market for a coach, something you're considering, rather than listen to everything they say, look at their body of work. Because there's a lot of good salesmen out there that will just talk the talk and have no resume to back it up.
Yeah.
And body work, you mean people they've trained?
Yes.
Okay.
The impact that they're making in other people's lives.
Okay.
Yep.
Really be cautious of that because social media, it's just really given an opportunity to snake oil salesmen that are really good talkers and there is no action or follow through. So look at their body of work, talk to their past athletes, get a feel for them, both the ones that have worked with them and ones that are still are. So you can get potentially all sides of what it is like to work with them.
Yeah.
And then talk to the coach. Like I won't just take somebody on if we have no communication prior to. I'm going to be like, hey, right away, let's set up a consultation. Like fill out my application so I can learn about who the heck you are, what you do. So do your homework, do your research first and picking a coach and then have proper expectations. Like I think a coach's role is just the GPS.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get to your destination regardless if you're determined, but your coach's job is to get you there the most effective route possible.
Yeah.
So rather than take 6 years for you to earn a pro card, maybe the coach helps you do it in 3 or 4.
Sure. Yeah. How fast and how easy can you get there is the way I would put it.
Yeah.
Easy being efficient, not necessarily like easy
don't
work.
attach the word easy.
Yeah. Efficient. How can you get there as efficiently as possible? Because you may be putting in more work in certain areas than you really don't need. Like if you complicate your diet can be much simpler than what you might think. And you may be thinking you need to do all sorts of things that you don't, and coach could simplify your life drastically right there. That would be huge.
Do you spend more time on like the aspect of like exercising or like nutrition prepping more? Like where does the most of your time and effort go into?
Man, I would say effort goes more into my training. And I think it used to be the key principle was training intensity dictated everything else. It was the driver of all progress. And then we've become much more nutrition focused and everybody says it's done in the kitchen and your food is everything. And I really still think the higher priority I try to drill home is back to training intensity. Bring back the Dorian Yates, Mike Mincer approach.
Yeah.
I think if that big rock is in place, not only is it the greatest driver for your progress mentally and physically, but 2, you also have more room for error because your body is going to be more efficient with your food if you're really putting it through some high stress stimulus, forcing a really strong adaptation signal. Then you get to have a little more variance or leniency in your nutrition and still make the progress you're looking for. And of course, this isn't in a prep setting. Like you don't offer room for flexibility in a prep setting. It's specific numbers we check and only those. But I just mean in progress in general. Like I think I put more emphasis on my training and my athletes' training. And I'll watch their movement videos. I have them submit to me in their check-ins. Not only so we can make sure form is safe and we're training in a sound environment, but 2, to really monitor effort throughout the set. First rep through the last rep and making sure that we're training to our limit, whatever is appropriate to that athlete.
Nice.
Do you have any like horror stories from when you first started with like meal prep or like not knowing certain exercises to do or anything like that?
it not for myself, but like some
clients or anything.
Yeah, for sure. Like just some are really simple. Like you lay out a meal plan, and I happen to give like the meal quantities in grams.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll say like, okay, we want, for example, there's a hypothetical athlete. And I say, okay, I want you to get 50 grams of protein via chicken.
I've had this athlete.
Yep.
I've had this athlete.
And I want you to get 100 grams of carbs via rice. And I've learned since then, I've learned you have to tell them exactly what that weight is.
You sure do.
Because then I find out later, like many days later, that they're not getting 50 grams of protein via chicken. They're eating 50 grams of chicken.
Yep.
And that is
like I forgot 5 about grams those.
Of protein. Yeah. Like, that sucks. And I'm like, no wonder you're starving.
Yeah. I had at least 1 or 2 of those back back when I was coaching, and it blew my mind. It was like egg whites or something. I don't remember what the number was, but they're like, "Are you sure 30 grams of protein from egg whites? That's hardly 1 egg." And I'm just like,
how big are the eggs?
What are you talking about? I was like, it should be way more than 1 egg. And then I started figuring out like what they were eating. They're eating like scraps, for however long it was that they tried to eat scraps. I'm like, man.
Like kudos to your discipline.
That was like if you actually did, like you starved yourself for a few days. Yeah, that's crazy.
Then they're going to be a lot more grateful for the food quantities we're about to eat.
True. That would be better.
Maybe they just empty their gas tank on the suckiness they're willing to take, and it's like, all right, well,
I'm out.
I'm out.
This is it.
I'm officially burnt out 2 weeks in.
Yeah. I was telling Brock, I was like, I used to have people sign up every once in a while for like an 8-month plan or something, like prepaid. Check in once, never check in again. I would check in with them. I would send them messages and emails and things, and never come back. And I even had some people, like one of my first clients that did this was ended up competing with me, and he came back at like the end of the 4 months, and he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to send you my prep," and like made a crazy transformation. Never checked in with me. At the end of the 4 months, he was just like, "Hey man, just wanted to say, I got shredded. It looks great. I just wanted to let you know, like it worked." And I was like, "Okay." And then he went on and like competed in shows with me and stuff. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was. And I was like, okay, like
it's a great program.
Never, yeah. He just followed the same diet, I guess. And for some guys, like they lift heavy and they've been working out. He had some muscle underneath, and he'd been doing it for a while, and all he needed was somebody to clean up his diet. Yeah. And that was all it ended up being, was just cleaning up the diet and giving him a strategy to stick to 80% of the time, and he looked great.
It's like a real outlier scenario.
Crazy. Yeah, not very often.
Doesn't check in and is making massive
Only
progress.
one that ever did that. Yeah, only one that ever did that, for sure.
That's hilarious.
So if were you going to say something?
No,
okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay. I was actually just gonna transition. So if somebody wanted to find you, get a hold of you, talk to you, where would they go?
You can start by just shining a bat signal up in the sky. It has to be nighttime so I can see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can, or a cloudy day.
Or a cloudy day. Fair. Most people will contact me through Instagram, and that's at It's Bat Dan.
Yep.
Spell it how it sounds.
I'll put that up.
Dan.
It's Bat Dan. Yeah, there you go.
I'll put that up down here.
You can also go to our website, coachedbyicon.com, and you can read about what it is we do there, expectations you could have from me as a coach, and what I expect from my athletes, and you can apply there. There's also some pretty good transformations on there. I don't update it as much as I should. My Instagram usually has the bulk of the work we're doing.
Yeah.
And Facebook. We were just discussing this. Is it Danny or Dan? Or I think it's Daniel Stull on Facebook.
Yeah.
But don't try it through Facebook.
Yeah. It's easier on Instagram or the website. The website's easy.
Yeah. That's it. I try to, on my Instagram is where I'm the most active, and I try to keep things. I'll give you like 1 or 2 posts, like my own life updates. But other than that, I really try to show my athletes what they're doing, or keep things informative, like make it a tool that's going to be valuable for you to pay attention, and also just show off my people. Like I love putting my athletes in the spotlight because that's what they deserve. They're doing all the work.
Yeah.
Like the coach doesn't need the credit. It's the athletes that are doing all the dang work. So I like putting the spotlight on them.
I thought something you said earlier that I thought was funny or interesting was actually you talked about like checking their body of work, like the transformations and the photos. I would also like a body of failures where they're like, these are all the people I worked with that didn't get any results.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Like, here's all the people that didn't get results. Like, they, you know.
Yeah, and tag the people.
And, you
they're
know,
going to feel attacked.
just like, just don't put their heads on then, just to show the bodies and just be like, these guys didn't get results. Just so you know. Like, I feel like it would work out better. Like, yeah, not everybody gets, you got to put the work in. It's the same thing you would tell them. But
you
like,
want to make it on my fail
these
page?
guys weren't willing to do the work. Like, you know, they wouldn't check in with me. They would do all this stuff.
You know, that's a pretty like good idea for motivating people to keep their asses in gear.
Yeah. When it's also like an authentic approach. Like, you know, you're showing people, hey, not everybody gets these results. Like, not everybody that works with me gets the results that they're looking for. And it's going to come down to you, you know, how bad you want it. But like, I'm not a magician, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, it's just like when prep coaches will talk about the athlete that did 20 minutes of cardio.
Oh, I love it.
Ate 5,000 calories
still eating 300 grams of protein
like,
1 week out, you know.
It's not a testament to your coaching ability at all. You just have a freak athlete.
I had one guy like that for sure, like straight up like that, because he couldn't even follow the diet during the prep. Not even close. Like, he was in the military and he had to get deployed, not like into another country, but he had like some short-term trips that were going. He couldn't bring any food with him. And this happened like multiple times throughout the prep. Like, he tried to eat some of it, but I think he was probably a 50-50 kind of guy. Dude comes in with a 6-pack. I think he like wins his class, looks right. I'm like, nobody would ever know you didn't stick to your diet. Right. And he would like tell me what he was doing. Hey, you know, I've got this military thing and they gotta send me over here for 2 weeks. I won't be able to bring my food. I'm like, okay, this is the plan. You know, it's as good as you can get. But it was just like, at a certain point, it's almost like I gave up. And I'm just like, okay, he's okay. Like, I'll help him, but like, I'm not like pulling for this guy. He can't stick to the diet. Shows up and looks great. So, and that I could go show everybody, like, look at this guy, man. I never changed his diet. His diet stayed the same the whole time. Like, I just guessed what was correct the first diet, I guess.
Yep, that's how you hit it.
That's how good I am, guys.
Nail on the head, my first swing.
Yeah. Yep.
That's just another really trendy one right now is coaches will be bragging about how quickly some female athletes get their period back after prep, or if they kept it throughout prep.
Okay. That's like, that makes sense.
That is not your coaching.
Yeah.
That is their genetic resilience. Like, if they're stage lean, you're playing with pure chance if they keep their
100%.
And like, it just cracks me up when the coach is presented as something they know.
Yeah.
That, well, you should sign up with me.
I know something nobody else knows. Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. The experience is really what comes in there. The experience and the proof over and over.
Proof. Exactly.
Proof is in the pudding.
That's right.
That's what always talks.
Do you know where that comes from?
No.
Okay. We'll find that out. Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
You? No, I don't.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us a story.
No, I wish. I like to be that guy. But not today.
Opportunity missed.
I know.
No, I think you're exactly right, though. Like, showing over years the experience you have.
Yeah.
And also, one thing that just comes to mind when you say that, what drives me crazy is, like, if your marketing strategy is to, like, say, if your coach does this, run. You know, take scenarios out of context or like badmouth other coaching strategies. Like that.
If your coach still has you doing fasted cardio in the mornings, dump them.
Yeah.
Fasted cardio doesn't work. Like
if your whole strategy is trying to like pick negatives or tear apart anyone else's strategy, like that is such a cheap shit way of trying to build your business.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just show us your athletes.
True.
Show us. And if you're kicking real ass, like, one, you'll have the positive word of mouth growing your business.
For sure.
Always the objective. But two, they're going to talk about you.
Yeah.
You know, like, let them do the talking.
Yeah. Yeah. The referrals are the number one way. Any business is built, but especially a coaching business like that. You do a good job, the clients find you.
Yeah.
You know?
It's still I'm trash at manipulating social media or posting for that, but still our number one driver for business is word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I understand that.
It goes back to the 15th century, but like we haven't been able to I don't know exactly where.
He was going for the pudding. 15th century.
I was like, word of mouth goes back to the 15th century?
No. We found out last episode, New Year's resolutions go back 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Really?
Ancient Babylon.
Yeah.
What was the context? What did they?
Just the new year.
Just
New Year's. And like
somebody just had that
reinventing themselves.
At some point, it was like the rebirth. I think the new year's always been looked at as a rebirth, kind of situation. I think they're like new opportunities, kind of like every new week is a new opportunity. You know? So I think they thought that same thing and 4,000 years ago.
Here we are today still.
Yep.
And the Stoics now came on and we're like, hold on, I'm going to blow your minds. Every day is a new opportunity.
Every day.
You can decide that shit today.
Yep. Right now.
Awesome.
Well, I think that sums it up. You got any last words you want to share?
No, I'm really grateful for you guys having me on.
Well,
I've had a good time chatting with you guys.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no, this is good. This is our first guest, man.
Yeah.
Oh man,
pop our cherry.
One of these days we're gonna look back on this episode when we're all millionaires, and we're gonna be like, remember that podcast episode?
Can you
started
believe
everything.
Can you believe we had those 3 guys on the podcast together?
This was the episode that went viral. Danny got 1 million clients. We got 1 million followers. Like, it was just so. Yeah.
Well, I think the strategy is if you get canceled, that's your way
I think so. Like, I could go real controversial and start, going real hard against trannies and things. If I really wanted to.
Transmissions.
We're talking about the car part. Blew a tranny, meant something completely different 20 years ago.
Well, thank you for cranking one out with the Nut Club.
Thanks for cranking one out with the Nut Club.
Yeah, I'm happy to crank with you guys.
Thank you. Enjoy it. All right.
Go ahead and if you haven't already, subscribe.
Hit that button.
Yep. First time order of Nutrithority products, 20% with the code Nut Club.
Nut Club. That's right.
Awesome.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Cool, guys.